What if it is a blessing instead of a lesson? And what if it's a lesson instead of a blessing? I mean, you can't really control these things when it comes to at least people. At the very beginning, especially when it comes to relationships, we think that they're blessings. Everything goes very well, and, there's not really much evidence to prove that it's a lesson. So it comes off as that it is a blessing, and we tend to believe that. But what happens if we're wrong? What happens if what seems to be a blessing is actually the whole time just a lesson to teach you something? See, the situation that I was in previously with a girl, that whole time I seriously thought that she was a blessing to my life. I really thought that I had a true companion, a true person by my side, right? Even though it was a weird situation, it was like long distance, but that's besides the point. We really clicked, and that's why when people say, why would you even do that's long distance? That's why. Because I didn't get that feeling from anybody else. And we clicked on so many things, I was like, man, this is going really well, until it didn't. So what I always thought was a blessing, now that it's all over, I realized the whole time it was just a lesson. And I think part of that lesson was to learn to walk away and learn to let go. That's a big problem that a lot of people have because, they cherish these people, even if the person does harm to them or whatever. But that's ultimately what you have to do, is you have to learn to walk away. You have to learn to let go. And that's going to be one of the best things you can do. So sometimes, even if it is a blessing, when it ends, you'll soon realize that it was a lesson. Now, I'm not saying that your situation isn't like mine. Maybe your situation, maybe you're right. Maybe that person is a blessing and good for you. And there's nothing to be ashamed of about that. I'd say that you got a good one. You just got to make sure you hold on to them very tightly and never let them go. But sometimes you might end up like me. The whole time you thought the person was really great. You thought that they seriously were just a blessing that was put in your life, and you helped each other grow, and then soon you realize that that was actually all a lie, and that it was just a lesson the entire time. So as much as it sucks, and it really does, you just gotta look at it that way. A big problem for me is I focus on the time that was spent with that person. So if I was talking to someone for, like in the situation, 5 months, the problem that I look at is I'm like, man, I wasted 5 months of my time, and it's time that I'm never gonna get back. But at the same time, though, to look at the bright side of things, I learned something. I learned that, well, when people bring you uncertainty when it comes to relationships, and especially after a certain period of time where they should be certain, then it's your time to walk. It doesn't matter how much they beg. As a matter of fact, I got a text from her just last night, and I tried to end things 2 days ago. I would have thought she would at least wait a week, but no. 2 days later, ding, in the middle of the night, still hitting up my phone. And she was the one who's uncertain about me. So that's another thing, that when they do try to crawl back in, you just got to push them out. And that sounds harsh, but it's the truth. The moment you let these people back in, they're just going to keep bringing uncertainty back into your life. They're only knocking on your door because they know how much you helped them through whatever it is that they were going through, or how much you benefited them. So once you're gone and they realize you were serious about walking away, then they try everything in their power to crawl back in. Whether it's they guilt trip you, they shame you. They'll tell you things like, you're so good in my life, and that sounds great, but you can't fall for this. And at the end of the day, it's not about them, right? I mean, sure, part of it is, but they're the ones bringing the uncertainty. So it's at this point, it's not about them, it's about you. What would bring your life, uh, greater results? See, the way I view relationships is when you get with the right person, you help each other grow equally. It's not just one person helps the other person, that's the whole relationship. That's not how it works. It's you both build each other up more than what you could do on your own. And that's what I thought I had with this person. Until I was wrong the whole time. And I didn't realize it. I honestly thought that we were helping each other. And I'm not going to lie, for the longest time it seemed like that. Until the uncertainty kicked in. And I still try to give her a chance even after the first bit of uncertainty. But then it just went nowhere. And it was like a push-pull method. She would push me away, and the moment I was like, all right, she's pushing me away, maybe it's time to leave, then she would try to pull me back in. And it was a constant push, pull. It was on and off. And when people do that, it messes with people's emotions. I'm not going to sit here and lie and tell you that I was a big, strong guy and it didn't bother me. No, it did bother me. Because that hurts people. You're when it comes to relationships, you're putting your emotion, you're literally putting your heart on the table. That's the thing with relationships. It's very scary because you're risking getting hurt. And let's be honest, in most relationships, especially nowadays, that's what happens. Usually we end up getting hurt because what we're trying to do is find that right person. So, I mean, I guess with that being said, it can go either way. It could be a blessing or it can be a lesson, or maybe a mixture of both. Maybe you just had to break away, not because the other person was disrespecting you, but because depends on your circumstance. But maybe it was just one of those things where you just had to end it. Like, it wasn't right. But sometimes those are blessings too, because sometimes those people are really great as well, and they're blessings that walked in your life, and they also are lessons. So yeah, but and then some, maybe in the rare case scenarios, they start off as people that you thought that this ain't gonna work, and this is gonna be a lesson, and in the end maybe it turns into a blessing. I don't know. I mean, crazy thing happens in life all the time, but I don't know. All I can say though is that when these types of relationships, these types of people come into your life and you do walk away, make sure you walk away and you let go. Don't let them back in, because that's the biggest mistake you're ever going to make. Because then it's going to be a repeated process all over again. And then you're going to be back to square one. You're going to think that everything's going great, and then until it doesn't. So just have enough self-respect. Now, besides relationships, though, other things can be lessons, blessings. You never really know. Often, I think one of the biggest blessings we have is family. Family that's actually there for us. I know that there are some people out there where their family isn't really that great, and that's unfortunate. But for the people that do have family, sometimes those are blessings that are taken for granted, and you have to realize that as well. That'd be a simple someone or something in your life that is a blessing. It'd be family. Real family that's always there for you. Real friends that are always there for you. And then you also got like your lessons. Like, you make a mistake, the other person, like I said, you get with somebody who just didn't work out, or maybe it ended in a toxic way. Either way though, that's a lesson. Like I said, the lesson I learned from my situation, when they bring uncertainty, it's time to step away. When they're all over the place and they're saying, one moment they're saying, oh, you're just a friend, and the next moment they're saying, oh, you're more than that, walk away. I guess the other thing I could say is, I'm really trying to think of what else she taught me. I will say this about her, and obviously you don't know, so maybe you don't even know the context, but I will say this about her. she did teach me a lesson about how much I actually appreciate being appreciated, if that makes sense. Like, it sounds like common sense, and it is, but oftentimes, a compliment can go a long way. And I don't think it's bad to say that. Like, I like complimenting the woman I'm with at whatever moment that is, and I expect the same back. I don't want it to be a one-way street. So she kind of did show me that. Because like I said, in the beginning, it really did seem like a blessing, and she was a whole different person. But then as time went on, confusion hit, and then I just realized, yeah, this is going nowhere. And I would say that's one of the good things she taught me, is that whenever I do meet a woman who does that, I will never take that for granted. It's just a shame that she took me for granted. As much as it kind of hurts to say that, it's true, but I mean, what can you do? I'm just glad that I got out of it, and I opened myself up. I opened up my heart to new people, even though I haven't met anybody yet. It just happened. But when you get rid of the people that are just holding you back, you open yourself up to people, to just people in general. It can go either way in the future too. It can go either way. Maybe you meet another person that's like that, or maybe you meet somebody who's even way better than that. You don't really know until you get to know people, but that's the only way you're going to find out, is if you open up. But when people do treat you that way, you have to have enough self-respect to remove them from your life and let go completely. Not let go halfway, because when people do that, they'll kick them out of their life, but then the moment they text them in the middle of the night or whatever, then all of a sudden they're back in it, and they're like, okay, the truth is I want you back, and blah, blah, blah. And maybe in the super rare scenarios that works out, but majority of scenarios, it doesn't. So I say, when you let go, make sure you let go completely. Don't hold on to certain things, Don't be waiting for their text in the middle of the night for them to reach back out to you, even after you walked away, hoping that they, come back and beg for you to stay. Because even if that does happen, you still have to walk away. I mean, like I said, it literally happened to me last night. She came back, and it wasn't begging, but it was just more like trying to get me to feel bad. That's basically what it was. And she wasn't doing it in a way that was obvious, but you could tell by reading it. It was like, I know what you're doing. You're suddenly coming back in to make me feel like you're such a great person. And I'm not saying she's terrible, but I am saying she was not good for me whatsoever. So it was just a message to get me to feel bad. And I think even on her end, she was hoping that I would fall for the trap and sit there and be like, okay, fine, I'll give you one more chance. I think that's really what she was hoping to hear, and I did not say that whatsoever. It was, matter of fact, it was the complete opposite. And I don't regret anything that I said. Some of the things I said were harsh, but it was true. So, like I said, when it comes to people, it can go either way. It can become, they're either lessons or they're blessings. There are people that they'll sit and stay in your life for the better, and there's people that they come in and they go out. And then it's the same thing with other things, like just, you make a mistake, you learn from it, right? Whether it's relationship based or not. Maybe you walk into an activity that you never thought you'd ever do, and then maybe you get like really good at it, and then it ends up being a blessing. But at first, you didn't really care for it. It's weird how life works, but it just works. So when you go throughout life, it really can go either way. It can either be a blessing or a lesson. But when you do run into the occasional blessings, make sure you never take them for granted, whether it is a person or a thing. Because overall, you shouldn't take your life in general for granted. So when you do get blessings in your life, don't take them for granted either. And then make sure that you treat lessons like lessons. They're not losses. Like I said, the big problem with me is I view it as, oh, I wasted 5 months. Oh, I wasted a year with this person and it went nowhere, which technically is true, but you need to focus on the positives. You know, what did I learn from this whole scenario? You know, and then I'll be honest, there was more lessons I learned from this situation, but I'm not going to go through them all because I'd say there's a bit. But you live and you learn. So you just can't be scared of life in general. That's really all I have to say. It can go either way. It can start off as a blessing, turn into a lesson. It can start off as a lesson, turn into a blessing. It could be a person, it could be a thing, it could be an activity, it could be an opportunity. You know, a sport, a video game, a phone, or, you know, I don't know. I don't know all the answers, but I'm just saying that there's possibilities in pretty much everything when it comes to life as a whole. So think of it like that. But that's all I really got to say. What if it is a blessing instead of a lesson? Or what if it is a lesson instead of a blessing? But that's it. This is kind of just like a ramble type deal, but I hope you get something from it. And like I said, my past few videos have been about this whole situation that I've had. And it's just because I know a lot of people, and maybe even you, can relate to my situation. So the thing I kind of thought about is, you know, I spent 5 months with this person, or I put like effort and time in this person. It got me nothing, right? It ended. I might as well make a video out of it. Not because I'm famous, because I'm not, but because I know someone out there watching this might relate to it and maybe it can help them. Because like I said, I'm glad that this whole situation happened to me and not somebody who seriously couldn't handle it. Because that's the thing with relationships, is it's very emotional based and mental based, and it can mess you up mentally pretty bad. So all I'm gonna say is this: I'm very glad that it happened to me, because I'm already over it. I really am. I'm just, the only reason I'm even making videos and talking about it still is just because, like I said, I'm still getting texts from her, and I just want to get it out there and hope that people can learn from my mistakes. So that's really it. So what if it's a lesson instead of a blessing? What if it's a blessing instead of a lesson? But other than that, I really do wish the best for you. And if you are going through a tough time, I promise that there is light at the end of the tunnel and it will get better. And you just got to push through. And understand that if your problem is relationship based and something ended, there's always better people out there. There's always more people out there that you can meet. There's so many people on this planet that you can meet. So don't think that once that person is gone that there's just no hope. There is. You'll get through it, I promise you. But I wish the best for you, and remember that life isn't too short to make a change.